Hello, Fatima here, having a really bad hair day. So if you think you're having a bad hair day, check out my hair. Anyway, I've decided to do this video today. Actually, I've tried to do it a few times to share my story, or one of my stories. And I believe that there's someone out there that needs to hear this story. So here goes. Be kind, because it's not the easiest thing to do, but I know that somebody needs to hear this. So I'm going to tell you, even with my bad hair and all today. Okay. For me, people look at me and they think, oh, you know, it's easy for you. Fitness is easy for you. Health is easy for you. Because they see me now. They see me usually composed and not having a bad hair day. They don't see me yesterday, last night, crying. They don't see me yesterday afternoon having a really shitty day, angry that I had been taken advantage of again, that I had allowed myself to be taken advantage of again. Yes, you heard right. I allowed myself. You don't get to see that side of my life. You get to see, you know, the edited version, if you like. You know, you don't get to hear the stress and the yelling and my 3 boys fighting. That's right, I got 3 boys. Yeah, that's all edited out. You just get to see the nice stuff. So today I'm going to share with you an ugly truth about my life and how I have used faith, fitness and food to pull me out of, save me really, from a really horrific struggle, a really horrific incident that happened to me, a domestic violence incident. You see, I am a widow. I'm 39 years of age now, and I became a widow 8 years ago. I was left with 3 beautiful young boys, a 6-year-old boy, a 4-year-old boy, and a 1-year-old boy, when their father committed suicide by gunshot. The thing about this story is, I was with my husband for 15 years, and some months before he committed suicide, I decided that I needed to end our marriage. It was, I love my husband very much and my family, but it was a very controlled relationship with a lot of manipulation. So, you know, I couldn't even wear my hair up. My husband would not allow me to wear my hair up and go out for dinner with him. If I tried to defy him, by the time we made the 20-minute drive to the city, my hair had gone from being up to being down. I had an epiphany, and I saw my sons continuing the behaviours that I had or saw in my husband, or was on the receiving end from my husband, and these behaviours weren't okay. One day I went to work. I worked for my husband, for his company. I went to work and I walked into my office and locked my door. This was a few months after I had left the marriage, which did not go down well. It ended up with my husband being arrested and looking at potential jail time, a very strong restraining order, against him. So I walked out of my job, which was incidentally working for his company. But after much pressure from many people, I went against my best instincts and I went back to work. I went back to work for that company. But I locked the door behind me every day I went in there. See, I worked in a shed that had an office. I had a couple of offices in it, but most of the time I was there working on my own. So I locked the door behind me because I was fearful that my husband would make good on his promise to get me or someone close to me. So that's a threat that he made when I decided to end the marriage. He didn't want it to end, obviously. So I went to work one day in July of 2009 and locked the door behind me, up the stairs, and before I'd even gotten around to sit on the chair at my desk, I heard my name and a shiver went up my spine. I spun around and there stood my husband in the doorway with a great big black shiny rifle. I screamed because the minute I saw him and I saw that, I thought, that's it, I'm done for. You know, instantly I thought, oh my God, I locked the door. I had arranged a couple of people to come in that morning to collect some bits and pieces that they needed from the office, and all I could think was, oh, why did I lock the door? Now no one can come in here and save me. I tried to reach for the phone behind my back, but he was too quick. He ripped my phone handbag away. The phone's out of my handbag, and ripped the phone out of the wall. So I wasn't able to reach out for help in any way, and he told me to be very quiet. That was at around 8:30 in the morning after I dropped my children off to school. That day was one of the most horrific days, not the one of, it was the most horrific day of my life. That day I thought I would never live to see another sunrise. I thought I would never see my sons again. I spent about 1 hour in that office with my husband, and I suffered at his hands. At one point, I gave up on life for a moment. I pretty much just said, you know what, just get it over with, because he held the gun to my head while I was on my knees. He stood over me and held that gun to my forehead and said some words that I'm not going to repeat right now. At that moment, when I gave up, I had a sudden vision, and that vision was my mum and my sister telling my 6-year-old son, the eldest of the 3 boys, that he no longer had a mother or a father. And at that moment, I found the will to live. I decided at that moment that I was going to live, that I was going to survive this, something I was going to get out of this somehow, some way. Now, I'm a praying kind of girl, and I prayed. I was on my knees, and all I could do was pray, God, get me out of here alive. Sometime later, I don't know how much time went by, but my husband shot himself. For a moment, I thought it was me. It took me what seemed like minutes to realize that I was actually still alive. And I'd been saved. And I walked out. I ran out. Not walked, I ran. I ran out of that office. And what I want to say is that it hasn't been easy for me. You might look at the pictures and think, oh, you know, health and fitness and eating well and prioritizing time to exercise for your physical and mental health is easy for you, Fatima. It hasn't been easy, but it is what saved my life. Faith, fitness and food saved my life after I almost lost my life. Initially, what saved my life was the thought and the vision of my children, and I prayed to God. But after that, survival and dealing with everything that came after that, faith, fitness and food. That is what I use to get myself to the point that I am now, to become the strong person that I am now. That still has crappy, shitty days, like I did yesterday. Sometimes it's, 2, 3, 4 days. Sometimes it's a week. That's a crappy week. But I get back on the horse and I keep going. And how do I do it? I have faith. I have faith in myself. I have faith that I am deserving of something better, and so are my children. I use fitness, exercise, to deal with the mental health issues, to deal with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. I chose a long time ago not to use medication. It didn't seem to make sense to me. And when I exercised, I realized that I felt so much better. When I exercised, I realized that I was a better mother. I was a nicer mum. I moved away from my hometown after my husband killed himself. I needed a fresh start away from that place. There wasn't much support. There was zero support from my husband's family. No support at all, only blame. My family was wonderful and supporting, but I needed to get away from that place. It was a toxic environment. So I picked up my sons. I packed up 5 months after my husband committed suicide. I moved to a new state and a new city for a fresh start. The tools that I found to get me through these years have been faith, fitness, and food, like I just said before. Exercising, it was pretty stressful raising 3 young children on my own. I realised that when I exercised, I came home and I was a much nicer mum to my children. I had more patience. I was more loving. There was no point being a martyr trying to do everything all the time. But I felt really damn guilty. I felt so guilty about taking time away from my sons, about spending money on a gym membership, about paying for a sitter to look after my children while I went and exercised for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it was that I did at the time. Took me about a year, and then I stopped feeling guilty. And then food. I changed what I was putting in my mouth. I used to eat Tina wafer biscuits, TikTok biscuits, chip sandwiches for lunch. I'm not saying, occasionally. That was almost my normal diet every day. I ate chocolates every day. I'd eat 3, maybe 6 Subway cookies every day. I didn't put on weight. I didn't grow large. I had a fast metabolism, I guess, but I was sick. I was sick emotionally and I was sick physically, and I really did mess up the insides of my body, and it's taken me years to get that right. And I work on my physical, mental, and emotional health every single day. Some days are better than others, but life is a journey. So if you're still here watching this, thank you. Please, 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 if you are in a domestic violence situation, think about getting out, whether you're a male or a female. It's not okay. There is life afterwards. You can get on and live life afterwards, even though at the time it seems like you can't possibly do this on your own. Believe me, you can. I started from scratch. I've lost my house. Through what my husband has done, I lost my job. I lost a lot, but I had my life, and I had my 3 sons, and I had my health. So I had a lot. I had so much. So like I did it, you can do it. And if I hadn't have done it, I don't know that I'd be here talking to you right now. Not because my life took me in a different direction, but because maybe I wouldn't be breathing anymore. So I thank you for watching. I thank you for your kindness. If there's anything I can do to help any of you in a domestic violence situation, or just to prioritize your own physical, mental, and emotional health, reach out. If not to me, to someone that can help you. Okay? Thank you so much for watching.